Hey, this is Matt once again. What about another video? Did a paid request this time for, and let me use his username because he might not want his real name out there. JCVD fan for life, which I agree. I am a fan of him as well. He wanted me to watch and review the 2022 film Accident Man: Hitman's Holiday, also known as Accident Man 2. I really enjoyed this film. I think when he sent the request, he mentioned how he wasn't a fan of the film. He thought it sucked. There are issues with the film in terms of some of the humor doesn't work, but I quite enjoyed this movie. I mean, I would not. I don't know if I put in my top five Scott Adkins. I don't know. I mean, Scott Adkins is an action star I really do enjoy, and he's one of the few that I am curious to see what he comes out next. Because I really liked the Undisputed sequels he was in. I really liked Avengement. That's a good one. Accident Man I enjoyed. Ninja Shadow of a Tear I really enjoyed. Didn't see One Shot. El Gringo is meh. Not a fan of those Universal Soldier sequels because I don't like what they did with Van Damme's character. Hard Target 2 I did not like. I hated Hard Target 2. I mean, it's better than Welcome to Sudden Death with Michael Jai White, but that's not saying much. But Hard Target 2 I did not like. Trying to think what else. Like I said, I didn't see One Shot. Close Range I didn't think it was as bad as people made it out to be. Like, Close Range got a lot of shit, and I watched and went, what's so bad about this movie? This reminds me like an old school like PM Entertainment film. And I love PM Entertainment. But this one was worth the price. I mean, I really did like it. I'd probably say I liked the first one more, but I thought this had some really good action fight scenes. Scott Adkins is really enjoying this role. You can tell that this is a role that he really does get a kick out of. And of all the roles I've seen him in, this is the one where he feels the most comfortable doing this role. And I've liked him in a lot of other movies. Like I said, I liked him in Close Range and Avengement. But he's really having fun. His presence, his dialect delivery seems natural. I think he's used a bit more of his natural dialect. And is like a little bit of that Deadpool sense of humor. And then in this movie is a little bit more of a bodyguard type of situation. And the last half, you get some really good fight scenes. And they may seem a bit cartoonish because of the type of villains, but kind of remind me of, I don't know, the Final Fight video game, where you have these over-the-top villains that Cody or Hagar had to fight. Or maybe you think of, like, the Warriors. Like, you had the baseball guys and all that stuff. So it didn't bother me as much as maybe others. And so, after the first Accident Man, which I do recommend, Scott Adkins is in Malta. And I love this thing where he's hired this woman, I forget her name, but the character's name is Sulene. You remember the Pink Panther when Inspector Clouseau had the Kato hired him to keep him on his toes and fight him whenever he's not expecting it? Same thing here. And their friendship, or I guess you call friendship, was a lot of fun to watch. Where, yeah, she's kicking his ass, but the same time it's meant to be this playful, tongue-in-cheek. She fucking shits on him. Oh, fuck you. But then other people she's very nice to. And, okay, give me my money. Okay, motherfucker. And supposedly Sulene is like a descendant of Juan Feijón, and initially I'm like, okay, this is on a good note because Scott Adkins is really enjoying it. You can tell he's not phoning it in. So okay, let's go, let's fucking have it, and they're having a fight. But then it hits the TV. He's like, oh shit, no, Jesus, it's a new TV, it's an 8K. The fight, and you realize that this is a woman that's been hired to keep him on his toes. And like she's talking to them, and he's like, say it in English, I can't understand what you're saying. He's like, okay, motherfucker. We agreed, no nut shots. And then what do? You try to kick him up into outer space. You try to kick him in the orbit. Like I said, Scott Adkins is really having fun. I think he really found his groove, and like this is, he could be a funny guy. Like I do like his Art of Action series of interviews, and you tell that he's a fan of this genre. He's a fan of these type of movies, and I may not love every movie that he does, but he's got, compared to a lot of people nowadays, he's got a better track record for me. I do want to check out One Shot sometime and some of his others, but again, Avengement, The First Accident Man, oh, Debt Collectors, I really enjoyed that one. Just I hated the first Debt Collector. I really hated that movie. I thought it was one of the worst ones Scott Adkins has been in. And like El Gringo was in there as well as the worst. I did Never Soldier sequels. I'm not a fan of those. Because the way they did Van Damme, I thought his character, I'm like, he's a bad guy and he's a clone and fucking bullshit. But some good fight scenes, but just I couldn't get over the bullshit. But I mean, I'm trying to think like top 5 Scott Adkins. Ninja Shadow of a Tear would be in there. Avengement's in there. Acid Man's in there. Debt Collectors I really enjoy. Maybe this would be top 5. Like as a good guy, as a hero. But I do like those Undisputed sequels. It's hard. But yeah, he's coming to his own and could potentially be a favorite Scott Adkins character. So I thought the humor was rather funny. For the most part. I'll get to that in a minute. But then he does Odd Jobs. The very beginning with this DJ explosion, like there's a DJ and there's a fire explosion, really bad CGI. So the first impression was, I don't know about this, like the explosion is pretty bad CGI. But it got better from there. And he sees his old friend Fred. That dear old Fred. Which reminds me of Bob Hoskins. I don't know why, but the way he acts, maybe because I miss Bob Hoskins. He reminds me of Bob Hoskins, which is a good thing. But he was in the first one, and he's this guy, he's a bigger guy. He has these little gadgets, like his little, you know, as Scott Adkins' character says, "You're a podgy toss with a potty flamethrower." Hey, that's not nice. I liked their friendship with each other. I did not think Fred was annoying. Scott Adkins helps him out, and Fred wants to hang out with them, and you realize Scott's been kind of lonely after the events of the first one, so it's nice to have a friend again. There's a little montage where, like, he loses a pool, and Scott Adkins breaks the pool stick because he's pissed. And out of the blue, Suling attacks. Like, God damn it, Flamingo, okay? Stop, I need to sleep. Before I go on, I'll get more into spoilers. A reason I like a lot of these Scott Adkins films, like Avengement, like Ninja Shadow of a Tear, like this in The First Accident Man, they do remind me back to the day of watching these PM Entertainment films. You know, watching films like, I love this one, Deadly Outbreak. I mean, this has much more gunfire explosions, while this is more martial arts, but you're watching a fun, not 5 out of 5 star perfect movie. No, it's not the Shawshank Redemption, which I love the Shawshank Redemption to death. But watching these fun, what are you doing for this movie? You want to see kicking ass, a badass lead, and a good pace. Watching films like Daily Outbreak, or growing up with films like Hard Target, which this is my all-time favorite movie. Is Hard Target, all-time favorite film. Love Hard Target to death. To the point that I made a fan cut with the word print and the theatrical mixed together. I didn't do a great job with it, but it's my own personal viewing anyway, so. By the way, can this get an official DVD Blu-ray, please? Anybody who makes that stuff, could you please do that? Please. But it reminds me of that type of stuff, which is great to see. And especially the second half of the film, you get a lot of these cool action fight sequences. Remind me of watching Last Man Standing with Jeff Wincott and Mission of Justice with Jeff Wincott, Riot with Gary Daniels, like watching that stuff and just being a fan and a sucker for action, martial arts, and that type of stuff. Now again, before I go into spoilers, do I have issues with the film? Yes. Issue 1 sometimes is very ho-hum CGI, like the explosion at the very beginning. Sometimes there's little squibs that are not squibs. I wish they were, but it's like bullet hits. I don't know why we cannot go back to the days of bullet squibs. I know there's more danger to that, but there's danger to anything. There's danger to fight scenes. But you gotta take the time and get people to know what they're doing, and they just look better. They just don't look as phony. There's a point where a guy gets a ladder to the head, really bad CGI. I would prefer like a cutaway to like a fake head, practical. That would be more fun and than this CGI thing. Until like fake blood goes over you. CGI not the best, and it takes you out of the movie. That's why I complain about that. But, I mean, back in the day, we had low-budget horror films that cost a couple $100,000 to have all practical effects, and they're more charming to watch. In terms of effects, I should say. The plot of the film is that there's a crime lord in Malta, and she has this annoying son, and Scott has to protect him. The son is horrendous. Hugely, horribly horrendous. I don't know if it's the actor, I don't know if it's the way his character was written, but he is so annoying. I mean, he's supposed to be, and thankfully Scott Adkins' character beats the shit out of him a lot. So I did on that front. So at least, Scott will beat the shit out of him, make fun of him, as the guy deserves it. I get that, but at the same time, the person was still so annoying and whiny, and it just really made it hard to sit through the scenes where Scott had to act with this guy. And maybe it's not the actor's fault. Maybe it's just the way the character is written. Like, that's the tough thing when you're writing a character to be annoying, but there has to be a balance where, yeah, he's annoying for the main character, but when it gets to the audience going, I just want to fast forward past the scene, that's when it gets a bit more egregious. But yeah, at least we're not expect us to like him like Charles Grodin in Midnight Run. That's the guy who you do like, and you do like his character, and he's complained to Robert De Niro, but it's very, it's done in the way it's intended. Here, again, you just say it's done the way it's intended to be annoying, but it just got to a point where, like, God damn, man, his voice, the tone of voice, and also some of the humor. A lot of the humor worked for me. Again, with Scott, and the dialogue, and the way he acts with Sulene, and the way he acts with his buddy Fred. Didn't mind that. Rather enjoyable. There's a bit, it is a little bit of a spoiler. His former bodyguards made him swallow this watch that has a tracking device. Because that's what we used to follow him. But then these assassins are hired to kill this guy, and Scott has to protect him. Well, he force feeds the asshole all these pills and powder and stuff to get him to shit this stuff out. And there's literally a scene where you have a fight sequence, and the fight sequence stops because it cuts away to this guy, have him go to the bucket, shit, and you hear the shit, he digs through it to get the tracking. All of that should have been completely cut out. Completely cut out. If you want to have the tracking inside him, fine. Then here's what you do. You hear his stomach rumble. He turns. There's a bathroom. He goes in it. That's it. He come out. He's drying his hands. Took care of it. That's all you need. That would have been acceptable. That would have been fine. It would have got the same gist of it. I'm sorry, a guy doing this and taking a dump and hearing it. We don't want that in a fucking martial arts movie. We don't want that in an action movie. I don't know who the fuck thought that was a good idea. I don't know who the fuck thought that was funny. It was fucking stupid. It was the worst part of the movie. And that alone makes it a little bit less than Accident Man 1. But, with that said, Scott Adkins giving a good performance. I like the addition of Sulene. I liked his connection with Fred. The fight scenes are really good. Whether it be fighting this lady called the Angel of Death, or fighting this wannabe vampire that when he tastes a victim's blood, he knows their blood type, and he's got like an axe. Whether it be this Poco the clown who can't feel pain. That's something that reminds me of like Final Fight, like playing one of those video games. This guy named Oyumi, who's a much more of a technical ninja type of fighter, and that's a great fight. That stuff worked very well. And that's like the second half of the film, and it moved really quickly. What was the other thing? Again, some of the lines of dialogue I did like. Even though the guy was being annoying, he does call Scott Adkins a melted... You look like a fucking melted Ben Affleck. That did get a laugh out of me. It's fun. It's pretty fast paced. I wasn't bored. It was fun. The beginning is good. The last half of the film is good. Again, the bit where he's got to deal with this annoying asshole is a bit... Okay, but it's an enjoyable movie. It is in my top 10 of the year. I don't know what placement it would be. I mean, I would say I liked... I'm trying to think of the other action films. I would put Bullet Train above this. I would put... What was the other movie? Day Shift above this. Carter I might put above this because I like the idea of Carter. Make it all look like one take. I thought that was such an interesting gimmick that it did appeal to me a bit. Like, oh shit, like this is crazy. So that was like more impressive to me. But I guess I'm alone because everyone else seems to hate that movie. I'm not going to sit here and say that's a perfect movie, but I don't think it's as bad as people made out to be. But I did like this film. I thought it was another worthy entry in Scott Adkins' filmography. And they get more into spoilers. I liked when him and Fred are testing techniques. I didn't like the ladder going to the guy's head. That looked like shit. But when they're testing techniques, because Fred has all these things like test a technique of a guy, how to get him electrocuted by a toaster, or how he gets killed by this bench. And they're testing it. It's like, Fred, it's on fire. Fred, get the fire extinguisher. What the fuck you doing? Fred, I told you there's fire extinguisher behind it. Like, it was nice to see Scott Adkins having fun. And, you know, a lot of times in movies, he's got to play the very straightforward, you know. It was nice to see his personality come out with Scott Adkins. So again, they get caught. The crime lord lady has Fred. You find out who the assassins are and protect my son, otherwise Fred's dead. You have this annoying fuckwad of a son who sings like shit. And that's where it comes in, like you have the Angel of Death. I like that fight. Great choreography. Not too much shaky cam, at least to me. Because when I think of Shady Tam, I think of Taken 2, I think of Taken 3, I think of Columbiana, or The Green Zone. That's why I think of really bad Shady Tam. I didn't, I didn't feel it that much here. And there was not like super cuts, the camera twirling around, and you had good choreography between the two. Real nasty death where Scott stabs her in the back, and you see like pop out, her eyeball pops out. That's an effect I didn't mind. Whether CGI or not, I didn't mind that effect, and the blood's gushing. And at least with this guy being a annoying fuck that he's got to protect, at least this guy gets a lot of. He gets beaten up a lot, so at least they did that more easy to swallow. Like Scott will knock him out, or Scott will talk shit to him, or Scott will make fun of him, or Scott will, kill this lady, this assassin, and the blood's gushing on this asshole's face. At least the movie doesn't tell us we have to like this guy. Just that's how it could have been worse. If he was just fucking annoying, but the movie expected us to like the guy, I think that would have made it worse. So at least the movie does that right. And then you have this big black guy, this vampire named Yendi, or he thinks he's a vampire. And then he'll like taste blood. You're a blood type, blah, blah. That was an interesting idea. A guy who, he finds out your blood type by tasting you. I don't know how the fuck you would do that, but I mean, that's why some people may not like that cartoonish aspect. I didn't mind it, because it reminded me again of the Warriors, or like playing a Final Fight Streets of Rage type of video game, And the bosses would be like Final Fight, here's the wannabe big boss man who spits his gum out, and here's the guy with the big shades and yellow and. You know what? Actually, Scott Adkins would be good in a Final Fight movie as Cody. Who would be Haydar, the wrestler? I don't know. Dave Bautista. He doesn't look like Haydar, though. Because Haydar's got the mustache. I don't know, who's a wrestler nowadays that looks like Haydar? I guess if you don't care about looks, hey, maybe, yeah, Dave Bautista. Dave Bautista's the mayor, they rescue the girl, and they go through, beat the shit out of everybody. I see that. Final Fight the movie. There you go, I'll see that movie. There you go, Scott Adkins and Batista. Final Fight. I'd see that movie. But I liked that fight because first it was Axe, and then Scott gets this pole, the steel pole, and they're fighting back and forth. And then the guy has a machete, and he takes the machete, they go back and forth. I thought it was a cool one-liner. At least tell me how this tastes. Makes the guy cuts the guy's throat. Poco the Clown, again, people may feel it's a bit weird, too weird, but I like the idea that he could not feel pain. And at least that was a different type of fight. That was more of a brawl, where he's like throwing the guy through this wall, smashing all this stuff on him. So it made it feel like a different fight. Didn't feel like you was watching the same fight over and over again. And that's another cool thing, is that each one had their own difference. Angel of Death, the girl had a lot of guns. He's trying to get the guns out, away from her. This one, different location on a rooftop. Or I say the vampire one. It was using weapons like the steel pole. This one was more of a down and dirty brawl. Oyumi the ninja was much more of a technical, very, to me, the best fight in the movie. Ray Stevenson is in the film, because he was in the last one. He pops back in. He's one of the assassins. And then, I don't know if I bought his turn. I mean, Scott gives a decent speech. And Ray Stevenson's not that bad. I mean, I never liked his Punisher and Punisher Warzone, but I've seen him in other stuff. I have not minded Ray Stevenson in that stuff. And the acting's not bad. It's just, I don't know if I bought him forgiving Scott Adkins. Maybe it wasn't so easily, but it felt a bit too easy. But I don't know. I haven't seen Aston Man in a while, and I need to pick up the movie on DVD or Blu-ray, whatever. But yeah, at least Ray Stevens is not doing a bad job. I like the fact at the end where, okay, they do the switch. You think they're going to go their separate ways, but our lead made a plan. That little asshole that Scott had to protect, they put a bomb on him, so it blows up him, his mom, and all the other bad guys. And now, you know, they're on top. So if you hated the asshole, at least he gets a comeuppance. And it's like his head bounces off. Oh, and they take a picture. Look at that. So they get the was $9 million. And by the way, people are like, oh, Sue Lean, it's a woke agenda because she is beating up Scott Adkins. Well, first off, that's part of the joke, like Kato and the Pink Panther. Also, when the fight with Oyumi, he completely just knocks her out in one hit. And so it's up to Scott. He just beat up a bit. And then I swear, before that, I swear he says a line from Lethal Weapon. Like, you want to shot the title? Because Oyumi's ready to kill the guy, and of course, yeah. Right, he could just be like, okay, lie, cut the head off, and end the movie, but of course, gotta go mano a mano. Just how it is with action movies. You gotta have that rule. Or get rid of weapons, and again, I could lie and cut this guy's head off, and I get my 9 million, now I'm gonna fight you. But, you know, it is what it is. I was actually waiting for that to happen, and that'd be like a nice, oh shit, then, you know, nice change of pace. Okay, fine, I listen to you. Okay, now we're gonna fight. I got my 9 million. I cut this asshole's head off. Let's do this. But again, then I guess Fred would be dead. But yes, I think before the fight begins, like somewhere around there, I swear Scott says, "You want to shot the title?" Kind of like what Mel Gibson said to Gary Busey in Lethal Weapon. And like I said, if you go into this, I like the lead guy, I like Scott, I liked his performance, he's having fun, the movie made me laugh. It's up there with Debt Collectors, which I thought was another fun sequel, and it makes me want to get a lot more Scott. I had seen them, rented them, and stuff. I would like to own them sometime. This is one of those films that I will admit there's a place I thought I could watch it, I couldn't, so I ended up renting it anyway and watch it that way. Just why not? Because Scott, I've liked some of his stuff in the past, and I did end up liking it. So it was worth the money. I did rent it. Because there's this one place it didn't work, so I thought I'll just rent it, watch it, and it was worth it. And I do want to get more of his movies in my collection. Again, Debt Collectors, this one. I think I have Ninja Shadow. I think I do have Close Range. I don't know if it's on Blu-ray though. The first Aston Man, because as much as I like his stuff, I don't have a lot of his films in my collection, physical product-wise. And this was an enjoyable sequel. Like I said, I did quite like the film. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. I think it's worth it if you're a Scott Adkins fan, if you're a martial arts fan. Like I said, not the CGI. I wish it was more practical. I wish, or the CGI was better. The humor, like the shitting in the bucket, didn't care for that. I think that could be completely taken out. But the other pieces of humor was fun. Scott, the Sue Lean, the Fred, has some fun characters. The fight scenes were solid, and that Deadpool action aesthetic, I thought, made it a lot of fun, made it a good time. So, with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. And if this is the case, I would love to see a third one. If this is how it is, I would love to see a third Accident Man. But we'll see. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.